Hey. Okay, so I have finally made it to Lilith in the eighth house. Um, there's a lot that goes on here. Um, a lot of times it's or more often than not, the things that are going on are more than what meets the eye with this individual. There's a lot that this individual holds on to. So you check the chart, check your kids' charts, just make sure, like if you're dealing with a Lilith in the eighth house, you could say Lilith in Scorpio too, but I it's the same. I see people putting them as the same, like they'll say Lilith in the eighth, Lilith in Scorpio, it's the same. Yeah, but there's a slight difference because you can have Lilith in Scorpio in the 11th house, and that makes it a little bit different than having Lilith in the 8th house. Okay, and I'm gonna get to it. There's similarities, but there's differences. Okay, because the difference is how the energy plays out. So someone with Lilith and Scorpio in the 11th house could be someone that is supposed to lead amongst their friend groups, stand out from the crowds, but they could be challenged from doing so, mostly built on their own insecurities, especially when being raised, especially when coming up. Lilith in the 8th house is the 8th house of Scorpio, but it depends on what sign it's in, but it's falling in the 8th house, then it's a little bit more of a psychological issue. Lilith is feeling very misunderstood by their sexuality, by a lot of the way that they, their psychological nature, the way that they think, the way that they feel. They often get their feelings and their thoughts mixed up. There could be certain and I'm like, guys, I promise you, I'm being very sensitive to this placement right now and what I'm saying, because I don't mean to offend. Like, if anyone cares to share, and I say this in my videos, anybody cares to share their experiences, go ahead and do so. To help clear up what I'm saying. But because we're talking about the psychological state of this person, we're also going to be talking about certain mental aspects. Okay. You have to be careful with Lilith in the 8th house, because it's easy to mess their mind up through abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, even verbal. Put Lilith and Gemini in 8th house. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of the times, I'm going to give a spin on this. Okay. Guys, I got so many different directions I'm about to go with all of my content. You'll end up seeing I have to have a foundation first. Okay. So here, this individual usually almost always experiences some sort of abuse. Now, I'm the type of individual, I'm the type of person, through certain experiences that I've had in my day and in my time, and just observing other people, being involved with children of all ages through years, in different ways, and observing, different things. I look at abuse as anything that can happen physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Okay. In all areas, abuse can happen. And I say this because I feel like a lot of people don't understand this. You know, they don't understand another person's experience, why another person would feel that, take something to heart, when they grow up. Like why a person would be stuck on a certain experience that they felt like impacted them, on a real or in a real way, like in a way to where it's hard for them to forget, and it's not as easy for them to overcome. What I'm saying is, like, to another person, it could be insignificant. Like, okay, well, that situation, I don't understand how it affected you, is insignificant. Like, it wouldn't affect me that way. That's because, you're looking at things. That's because we experience things differently. We're equipped differently. That's why I say abuse can be almost anything that you do to a person that is causing them some sort of trauma. And a lot of times we are not aware of the fact that it's causing trauma. Even me, even dealing with my child, I am pretty sure, even being in the know and purposely trying to do things different, there is things that my child may say she experienced that I'm just like, what? I was not trying to do that. So it's not about taking it personal. Well, Lilith in the 8th house almost always experience some sort of trauma. Now, let's say they had someone that was conscious of who they are, like their chart and things of that nature, them growing up, and they really did work overtime or just work at trying to, keep Lilith in the 8th house from experiencing certain abuses. Lilith could possibly come across a friend or an associate or another family member that is experiencing this abuse. Okay. Lilith is then empowered to possibly be someone that's like a really successful in the field of psychology, or counseling people, mentoring people, helping other people solve their problems. Now, because Lilith can do this naturally, or experiences that Lilith went through could cause them to be able to be in this profession or this line of work, or this is what they do, their skill set. So Lilith is in the 8th house, experiences some trauma, some emotional trauma, some physical trauma. They witness something that maybe, happened to them, and they are made to be quiet about their experiences. Maybe it could be through someone in their family or someone in a church organization, and it doesn't matter that, positions to where maybe that other person's word is taken over theirs or something. Or they already know, like, I can't speak up, like someone threatened them or made them feel like they had to be quiet. Okay. Now, Lilith can act out. Lilith in the 8th house can act out depending on how they're trying to deal with this abuse. Like, they could end up getting into relationships that is just too much for them, like at a young age, being promiscuous. This is not everybody. This is not every Lilith in the 8th house placement person. But I'm just, because when you start talking about certain sensitive topics, it's easy for people to be, especially depending on what they already experienced, it's easy for them to feel judged. You know what I mean? And that's not what I'm trying to do here at all. Any placement could be promiscuous. Okay? So, But what I'm saying is that a lot of times when we experience abuse, we tend to inflict that abuse onto someone else, or we keep feeding into that abuse. We continuously abuse ourselves because we feel like that is what we deserve. And it's not ever a victim's fault. Okay. So, Lilith in the 8th house could be promiscuous. Now, when you're dealing with 8th house, you're dealing with one extreme or the other. They could be very promiscuous, or they can have a very hard time opening up intimately, especially if they experience abuse. They can have very hard time trusting or opening up intimately, and this can follow them into their relationships, into their marriage, where they completely want to hide themselves or detach themselves from their sexuality, or they go into it into an obsessive way, over obsessing with their sexuality. This is the only way they could connect to another person. This is how they feel. This is what they feel like determines their worth. Okay. And they could want to get attention in a sexual manner. All right. Based on how they see themselves and based on how they attach themselves to the abuse that they faced or the trauma that they could have faced. Things that they became aware of. Lilith in the 8th house individuals can become aware of stuff at a very young age that can definitely definitely leave an impression on them, and they're holding on to a lot. They can feel like they're emotionally responsible for the baggage that comes along with it. Even we could go as deep as saying, like, let's say they had a parent that was they watched being abuse some sort of substance, go through some sort of mental issues, psychological issues. They could feel directly responsible, like someone could have held them directly responsible for, or they could be susceptible to taking on behavior traits, and because they are psychologically entrapped. They become a slave. They become attached to their trauma. They can do a lot of trauma bonding. They could be involved in toxic relationships and situations. But hey, if it's by way of their parents or something like that, or something dealing in their family situation, they feel like they're trapped. If they were ever sexually abused and it's by somebody that they know, and we're just gonna keep it real, because I don't got time. Like I don't have time to sugarcoat real life experiences for people. And in real life, we see that people's parents are directly as responsible for their abuse. Okay. Like here where I'm from, I remember years ago, I will never forget a little girl whose mother was on drugs really bad, whose father was like a drug dealer or whatever, but they weren't together. But he had custody over the daughter, end up letting the daughter go stay with the mom. The mom sold the daughter to a grown man, and this little girl had to be about 4 years old. Sold the daughter to a grown man, another drug dealer, okay, to pay up her debt, her drug debt, to pay off her drug debt. He took her off to another town, did unthinkable, unimaginable things to this little girl, brought her back, she died. He abandoned her on the side of the road, and then they put out an Amber Alert for her, and to frame it up to make it like somebody kidnapped her. Feces found everywhere, and you know where I'm going with this. That was, even though that didn't happen to me or anybody that I affiliate with, the fact that it happened and it was in our town, in our city, in like right up under our nose, that traumatized me. Like I went to the visual for her. I shed some tears. That's real life to me, and that's what I deal with. So what I'm trying to say is I don't put a cap on, these experiences like they're all good and they're all dandy. And it's like, oh yeah, this astrological transit is great. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't, because it's to me, okay? It is unfair to individuals that can't avoid real life, like that little girl. And so what I am saying is that Lilith in the 8th house individuals could be entrapped in a situation that they feel like they cannot get themselves out of, okay? If, let's say you're living with a parent, you're being abused by a parent, or you're being abused by a brother or a sibling, a sister, it doesn't matter, an aunt or uncle, and you're in the confinement of said situation and you feel trapped and you don't know what to think, and you don't and your behavior is matching the actions that you see that's been done to you, and you're more likely to go out and exhibit that behavior because psychologically you're trapped in that behavior, in that experience. And that's very likely to happen in the 8th house. There could be some type of abuse. There could be drug abuse. I'm going to put a twist onto this, because this, we can see Lilith in the 8th house get into, and see, it's certain words I don't want to use, but I've already used them because of monetization, but adult work. Some of them could. And I don't see it as a bad thing, but I just kind of feel like, a lot of times you get individuals that have been traumatized and they get with other people like predators and things of that nature. And it's an unhealthy exchange. These individuals could be like actual natural healers sexually. But so when you come against people, you get intimate with them, you transform them. Pay attention to the individuals that you come across. Like, just do me a favor. If you don't notice, pay attention, because they may come in your life. Y'all might have some type of sexual affair. It could be a one night stand. It could be more. And watch them. They either are afraid of Lilith in the 8th house because they sense Lilith in the 8th house power, or they extract Lilith in the 8th house energy. And it transforms their life. They all of a sudden become aware. They might change. They might try to upgrade their life. Different things. They might even try to blame Lilith in the 8th house as if Lilith in the 8th house is beneath them or under them or something like that, when really the energy of Lilith in the 8th house is transforming them in their life and their whole existence. So Lilith in the 8th house is a powerful, should I say, healer. It has a powerful presence. When you're around a Lilith in the 8th house person, you feel their energy. People may try to shut you up or oppress, enslave, or degrade your energy, especially because of the feminine, the divine feminine. But that's rising, honey. And I would tell Lilith in the 8th house that you are supposed to rise. You are supposed to turn into the phoenix. You're supposed to elevate yourself, through no matter what experience that you had, no matter if you felt trapped at one point in time or not. You're supposed to definitely fly above, rise above, transform into a powerful person with a great message. And you're not supposed to be ashamed. A lot of times, living in the 8th house, people could be ashamed and embarrassed of who they are. No. You don't have to be, and you don't have to hold things in. Like, you hold things in. You can stand up to people you can that you felt like harmed you, or you can go to the people you felt like was responsible and they should have saved you, they should have helped you, they could have been there. You know, and you stand up to them and you let them know, like, listen, it's not gonna break me. It affected me. Like, I felt like, yeah, you did what you knew how to do. But I felt like, as my mother, as my father, as my friend, as my guardian, as, you know, my caretaker, you should have protected me. But you know what? I'm not going to let this stop me. You, like, don't run away from the pain and the, you know, what's associated. Because and some of you guys might have to get counselors, or mentors, or somebody to help you dig through a lot of the, you know, the experiences that you had, or like the effect that it had on you. But the point is that you're supposed to face it, you know, and you can help transform other people's lives, and to come at your, you know, experiences in life in a more healthier way, and to understand your worth. You can really, 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 really enjoy real, intimate, healthy relationships. And some Lilith in the 8th house may decide, until they get themselves psychologically straightened out, that they're going to abstain from certain sexual activities with other people. And even the ones who have restricted themselves, you know, from some sort of form of intimacy with another or a partner, you can work through those issues. But see, here we definitely can have somebody that it's just like, they can really abstain from, they could be very modest too. Don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean it's this 8th house is either or, you know, could be very modest too, you know, and very hard to trust. But you are supposed to get down to the root cause of these psychological extremes and mental states of being, and not bury those experiences to the point of where you're acting out and you're behaving and you don't know why. You're wearing the blame. Like, you can literally wear and carry a lot of emotional baggage. And the ultimate goal, guys, is to free yourself. And to really comprehend the fact, like, through healing, and really comprehend the fact that you're not trapped and you are free. And you're going to find joy when it comes to healing others or being someone else's. Listen, some y'all might really need to get into like counseling, spiritual counseling, sexual counseling, like the abuse, handling certain type of abuse, drug abuse, whatever. Some of y'all could be very, very great, good writers when it comes to self-help books, the whole nine. And you're very powerful. Okay? And don't let other people project onto you their insecurities. Okay? And you got to be careful, because Lilith in the 8th house gets other people very magnetically attracted to you in ways, and they could, this is even as a child, that leads them to cross the line with you, because you have a very magnetic sexual aura. But if you feel very like someone that's very in tune with yourself sexually, at a young age, or just as you grow up or whatever, don't allow people to make you feel ashamed about that. That's what you're naturally possessing. And let me tell you, one of the most powerful forces on earth is a person's sexual nature, you just gotta learn to possess it. And it's always somebody in the background being this disturbance. But I don't know if you can hear them, but my daughter's like laughing hysterically out loud. But you have to learn how to just possess it and use it to heal. It's used to heal others, to transform others, and it doesn't have to take place sexually, like physically at all. It could be a very spiritual thing. All right, so Lilith in the 8th house, the psychological entrapment.